Is it Naeem in Zurich?
Yes, hi.
Hi, thanks for calling.
Hi, Tracy.
Hello.
Yes. I wanted to talk about Islam and have some question to you. Well, my first question is, do you both consider Islam as a threat to the U.S. Constitution or the Bill of Rights, or both of them?
No. I don't know about you. Do you think Islam is a threat to the Constitution or the Bill of Rights?
I wouldn't say Islam so much as I would say like overzealous theocratic religionists. But that would be in any religion.
My answer with regard to Islam is just that it's such a small portion of the population here. They have no power base with which to affect any sort of change.
Well, maybe not in the U.S., but right now in Europe is, I think it could be a threat because in the UK is always a discussion about how to make the Sharia law a part of the UK law, and also in Germany they talk about the Sharia law, especially about the family law.
Yeah, I agree that it's potentially a threat to rights and freedoms in other places outside the United States. I think there's a number of countries that have made far too many concessions on behalf of a religion. Although I think if you jump into the Middle East, you can see the end product of what those types of laws actually do to people, which is, of course, my primary concern.
Yeah, I asked because I have seen some YouTube videos and about Dearborn in Michigan, and I don't like Christian at all. I am an atheist. I don't consider them to be a little bit bullied, but they practice just freedom of speech, and they got threatened and hit and escorted outside the town or outside the festival by police force and the mayor. Don't you think that it could be, in some parts, a threat to the Constitution?
Well, are there places in the United States, little pockets of I was going to say humanity, but I guess quasi-humanity, where religious zealots of some stripe or another are violating the rights of individuals? You betcha. We've seen atheist families run out of town on a rail almost in a couple of areas, and it wouldn't surprise me to hear that where perhaps a bunch of Muslims have gotten together, that they might have more power over what is allowed and what isn't allowed within their city or town or whatever. But I don't see that as a broader threat to the United States. It's just something that we need to keep addressing and saying, no, you don't get to do this.
Okay. Yes, and my last little question would be, which religion do you both think is the most stupidest?
The stupidest?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I have a top. I mean, there's I could probably come up with some that are like less objectionable, a few, but I mean, in the end, they all have these wild tales that are, I mean, there's always something a little wild going on, and usually it's like an entire construct of wild that applies.
I think for me, it's a tie between Mormonism and Scientology.
And why Mormons or Scientology? What's special about them?
First of all, they're both pretty new, so we can kind of track their origins. In the case of Mormonism, we can track their origins to a con man. And in the case of Scientology, we can track its origins to a science fiction author who talked about forming a religion to get rich. And then there are the obviously false things that are within both of them that tend to get covered up. Within Mormonism, the idea that the Native Americans were the lost tribe of the Israelites, and that this whole kind of racist thing about blacks, which they're trying to shovel under the carpet, but making up a language, I forget what it is, something Egyptian. Anybody remember? It's modern Egyptian. I don't know. He made up a language, claimed and mistranslated Egyptian hieroglyphics in order to support his stuff. And then in Scientology, it's one of those, it's pseudoscience taken like to the extremes. It's things that if you knew the stuff that you find out later at the beginning, you'd never fall for this in a million years. But it's this insidious little kind of suck you in. Oh, would you like to take a personality test? Hey, we think we can help you. And by the way, the intergalactic overlord Xenu threw everybody in volcanoes and destroyed them with atomic bombs, and all those bodies are now thetans that are hanging on to you, and we need to get rid of all those for you. That's just crazy. I mean, that's a whole new level of...
What's funny to me, though, is like I personally know people, like, for example, I know some Jehovah's Witnesses who fully reject the idea of ghosts. So they don't believe in, like I guess, I don't really get it all. It's like at some point, I suppose someone's going to come back from the dead and live forever. I don't know. But when you die, like they think you just die. And I'm not sure how the end times fits into that. Don't even, I have no clue. But they mock the idea of like a ghost, but they are totally into demons. Right? So it's like, ghosts are silly stuff, but, demons are real. So I don't know sometimes how, like, I don't really understand, like, where those lines are in the sand where something becomes too silly and something else is believable to them. And it's not just JWs. I just use that as the example, but it seems like it's that way with almost any religion. You can talk to people and they'll be making sense, and then suddenly they're just over the rainbow, and you're like, how did that even happen?
Okay. Well, thanks for the little talk. And
Sure. Thanks for calling. Bye-bye.